Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, August 3rd. So the moon is going to be in Gemini all day. We're actually going to have a much better, lighter day than yesterday was. Now, we have 11 different aspects taking place here today, and 9 of them are going to involve the moon in Gemini. The shift that's taking place with the energy here today is the fact that we're moving out of the releasing stage of manifesting, and now we are more into surrendering. So what does this mean for us? Well, it means that we have to kind of let things flow and let things go as the universe needs us to. This is going to illuminate for us where it is that we still have some pretty serious attachments in our life, where it is that we've been holding on to attachments for dear life, and where it is that we are being asked to just let it go. Just surrender to whatever is coming up. Just surrender to whatever the universe needs to illuminate to you before we head into the new moon. So the moon in Gemini, right out of the gate, is going to be trining Saturn. Now, I know when we normally hear Saturn come up, we're like, oh, Lord, another bitch slap of reality coming at us. He's just going to tear us down and rip us apart and just, show us that tough love life lesson that we just do not want to hear about anymore. But instead, this is actually a good aspect, especially after the previous couple of days where we've been kind of low on ourselves and tearing ourselves apart. Yes, we had that beautiful aha moment last night before heading to bed. And now we're carrying this energy into a brand new day. The moon in Gemini trining Saturn, retrograde in Aquarius right now, is air on air. This is where we gain some serious control back over our emotions, over our perspective. This is literally recognizing where it is that we have been feeling weak and insecure and vulnerable, and where it is that we're just done with that vibe. Again, the lower vibrational frequencies are trying very hard this week to keep us in a staying pattern, and we have to work extra diligently to make sure that we rise above those lower frequencies and that we try to enlighten ourselves and stick to the higher vibrations. Now, this particular aspect is going to really require us to boss up. We have to level up. We have to take responsibility for our emotions, for our thought process. Yes, we have to recognize where it is that we were comfortable playing the weak little victim in the past, but we're not about that right now because we see a bigger, brighter future coming to us, and we can't act that way if we want to move forward. This particular aspect with Saturn is preparing us for an encounter of the moon in Gemini bumping into Pluto, retrograde in Capricorn. This is where we take our power back. This is where there is a huge transformation inside of us. Our mind and our heart are now working very diligently to come together. This is where, yes, we have to reflect on the weakness, on the vulnerabilities, on the pain, on the trauma, in order to lighten the mood, to turn that dark into light, to turn that pain into power, to take our power back. This is happening at a beautiful moment because Venus in Virgo trines Uranus in Taurus. Again, this is earth on earth with a little bit of electricity coming in from that Uranian energy. It is shock. It is awe. It is an aha moment like no other that we can't unknow and we can't go back from. And Venus in Virgo right now, again, may I remind you, not her most powerful self as of yet, still kind of the victim of crippling anxiety and crippling worry and self-criticism. But this particular aspect really shows us where it is that we have to abandon those negative frequencies and where it is that we have to kind of make a sudden connection to our thoughts, to our behavior, to our emotions. Now, Venus is trying very hard to repair A, her self-worth, B, her money matters, C, her relationships with other people. As we've been discussing, we're moving into a brand new cycle. And as we have been discussing, some relationships cannot go with us. We have been very uncertain and undecided on how it is that we're going to move forward, proceed forward. However, with the emotional aha moments that we just had with Saturn, with Pluto, with the moon in Gemini, now we're starting to see, yep, I really need a little bit of freedom in this relationship. Or, yep, I need to be a little bit more independent in asserting my wants, needs, and desires and speaking my own truth. There is a sudden aha moment that will shift not only our mental plane, because that's that Uranian energy, that awakener, if you will, where we get to act as our higher selves instead of our ego self. And of course, Venus in Virgo, very rooted to this physical form, to the physical relationships, and to our physical environment. So there is something happening in our daily routine, in our relationships, that will trigger this aha moment in our mental plane, where we are going to recognize where we have to kind of redesign and redraw the boundaries within our personal relationships. Again, all in the greater cause of regaining the power that we've given away. So the moon in Gemini is going to go on a little bit of a stint here. It is going to sextile with the sun in Leo, with Chiron, retrograde in Aries, and with Mercury in Leo as well. So this is a big deal because, of course, the moon in Gemini, rapid thoughts, rapid thinking, questioning everything, wanting to learn new ways of doing things, wanting to speak out, wanting to express oneself, especially where emotions and the mental plane are coming together and aligning. Now, the moon in Gemini, sextiling the sun right out of the gate, wants to show us, yes, we need to grow. Yes, we have to express ourselves. Yes, we have to communicate confidently and with clarity in order to bring the harmony back. Again, we're in August. August is all about harmony. We need to bring the harmony back, not only within us, between our heart and our soul and our head, but in our relationships, in our interactions, in our meaning, in our purpose. So the sun in Leo is definitely going to show us where it is that we have to take a risk, where it is that we need to illuminate, where we need to be bold in trying new things, where we need to be brave in communicating our thoughts and our feelings. Definitely turning the volume all the way up on just kind of amping up that fire energy, that spark within us to go after what it is that we're fired up and passionate about. By the time the moon in Gemini sextiles Chiron, there's a huge amount of healing that has already taken place here today. We have really done a huge shift in energy, especially from the previous 2 days of kind of sitting in the sadness and wallowing in our victimization that we ourselves had created and just, continued to loop. And now we're really starting to realize where it is that we need to nurture new thoughts, nurture new ways of doing things, really integrating this new information, this new shift in emotion within us. We have had a lot of aha moments. We have been slowly but surely regaining our power, turning those darker vibes into something lighter that we can work with. And then the moon in Gemini squares Mercury in Leo. Now, Mercury rules over Gemini energy. And this is really going to trigger us to definitely speak up and speak out. I talked about earlier, I think it was on Sunday, that we had this want, need, and desire to speak up and to be heard, but we were kind of in an inner dilemma, if you will, because we wanted to kind of stay quiet at the same time and keep to ourselves. Well, at this particular point, you will likely be chatty Cathy, okay? The moon in Gemini is sociable anyways. Mercury in Leo wants to be heard, wants to tell stories, wants to share experiences, wants just to share anything and everything coming into the mental plane that is being activated by the heart space. Passion, desire, heartfelt emotion. We just want to share it. So this is really going to encourage us to kind of bust out of the confines of keeping to ourselves that we were experiencing earlier on in the week. And now we are definitely up for an energy exchange where we get to have a heart to heart, where we get to share and collaborate with other people, where we get to have an opportunity to be validated, to be heard, to be just accepted for whatever it is that we're speaking out on. And we've kind of abandoned the fact that we really don't care if it's received well. We just need to get it off of our chest. And the moon in Gemini goes ahead and bumps into Uranus. And this is an aha moment where we are okay with kind of emerging from those darker, heavier vibes, where we are okay to speak up and to speak out and to kind of put the spotlight on ourselves, especially where our needs are concerned, especially where our new excitement and passions are concerned. There is a sudden shift taking place within us, and it is very, very evident in our ways of thinking, in our ways of communicating, and in the ways of actually expressing heartfelt emotion to other people. You're definitely going to feel very different come Tuesday afternoon compared to, I'm going to say, the last 4 or 5 days. The moon goes ahead and squares not such a good energy with Venus in Virgo. Now, this is going to bring up some of our confusion again, just when we were flying high, just when we felt we knew what direction we needed to take and what it is we had to say and get off of our chest. Now we're starting to question things. We are indecisive. We are overly attached to the past. We haven't quite figured out the correct calculated strategic path forward yet. And this is creating a lot of confusion, especially where our needs are concerned, especially where our personal relationships are concerned. We might realize that our trigger earlier on in the day to speak up and to speak out might be in the relationships that don't really need us to have those heart to heart, because we're still kind of avoiding those particular situations. And Venus in Virgo wants to heal, but we want to do it properly. Virgo energy wants to do everything right. It's the perfectionist energy of the zodiac. So if we don't have a calculated, logical, practical plan in place on, first we do this and then we reach out to this person and then we have this conversation and then it happens. If that is not totally figured out in our mental plane as of yet, then we're not doing it. Venus in Virgo wants us to reserve our actions, our emotions, our communications until everything is perfect. The problem is that nothing is ever perfect. And so we do have a little bit of anxiety creeping up here because we are feeling compelled to put ourselves out there and share and collaborate and have a different energy exchange. But then Venus in Virgo just isn't quite prepared yet. She doesn't feel 100% ready yet. And it's a perfect opportunity for the moon in Gemini to bump into Pluto, because there is a huge intensity coming upon us right now where, we have to sit in the uncertainty, we have to sit in the confusion, we have to sit in the indecisions in order for us to talk ourselves out of those lower vibrations and back into the light. That Plutonian energy, very intense. It's leading to a very dramatic emotional and mental transformation. But we have to do so by sitting in the pain, sitting in the uncomfortability, sitting in the chaos, sitting in the uncertainty in order for us to find the proper path towards the light. It absolutely needs to happen. And like I had mentioned earlier in this forecast, this whole week is just when we are taking one step forward, those darker forces are going to pull us 2 steps back. This is a prime example of that. We were riding a high, and then we let our ego and insecurities get in the way, and now we're, muddling back in those muddy waters. But the good thing is that Mercury goes ahead and squares Uranus, which is this mental aha breakthrough from this confusion, from this overwhelming thought process that we can't seem to get a clear vision on. This is where our mental planes feel a little bit congested. This is where nervous energy can peak. This is where our insecurities and vulnerabilities can peak as well. We're still kind of riding the coattails of the insecurity and the indecisions and the anxiety and the worry created by Venus and Virgo. This particular aspect, though, is really opening us up for a breakthrough. We have to have a breakdown in our mental plane, in our emotions, in order to build ourselves back up in a better way. The moon in Gemini goes ahead and bumps into Mars in Virgo, and this is likely going to fire us up in all of the right ways. Yes, Mars wants us to act. And because the moon is involved, we want to act on our feels, act on our emotions. But here's the thing. We are, again, Mars in Virgo, not one to act out on a whim. We have to think very calculated. We have to think very strategic here. But Mars brings us a lot of courage that we wouldn't otherwise have, especially in that Virgo energy, being, questioning everything and uncertain about everything and feeling a little bit crazy and chaotic in the mental plane. Now we're just kind of like, you know what? We have to abandon our worries and our insecurities just for a second. We just have to be a little bit forceful with expressing ourselves and taking in action to actually communicate our thoughts and our feelings and just see what happens. And let me tell you, Mars is pretty passionate. He's always passionate to go after what it is that he wants and what it is he needs and what it is that he desires. But he's driven now to abandon the insecurity and the chaos and the confusion. So we might find by the end of Tuesday, you can already tell it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but we can already tell that we're leaving the day on a high note. Because the moon in Gemini, very curious, wants to experiment, wants to communicate. Mars is kind of abandoning caution that, that Virgo energy would prefer him to have. Mars is also very quiet and introverted in this Virgo energy until we're certain about something. But Mars is activated to say, you know what, I'm certain enough in this moment to speak on this particular topic because I know for certain that this needs to be said, or this needs to be heard, or this needs to be validated, or this needs to be expressed. Now, how we're going to kind of continue on that path is still remain to be seen, but Mars is certain that he's okay at this particular point to speak up, to speak out on this particular topic because he's already mulled it over for far too long. And if he holds it in any longer and he stays paralyzed in this moment for any longer, he's not going to get anything done. There is not going to be any change. He is not going to get any closer to his end goal. So there's a little bit of caution to the wind. There's a little bit more free thinking, free expression, free communicating. And I think it's going to set us up for a beautiful day here on Wednesday.